So now this presentation is over and it's the question and answer time. And as I said before, if there are any questions from the audience or elsewhere, they can submit to Zoom chat, or those on Facebook through comments. Thank you. We get any questions from on the Facebook or on Zoom chat. If there are any questions from the audience here, I think most of you are from the Botanic Garden staff, I'm sure, and also from the universities, some members. And if there are any questions or comments, we welcome them. Yes, please.
Compared to most colonial explorers, Humboldt studied the big picture, the human aspect, the slavery, the differential treatment the local communities by the colonial power and so on. So you have me knowledge on the language and the knowledge on local languages to understand the issues and also to connect the issues like climate change, environmental issues. I think one should have some sense of the community.
Yeah.
And from your presentation and the here and there, I think that Humboldt had a good sense of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sampath. I'm actually repeating the question for the international viewers because some of me could not have heard the question. Dr. Sampath Seneviratne's question was about the Humboldt's language and the alertness for the societal beliefs and systems, because he has been traveling around the world where his mother tongue or English was not the primary language. So, yeah, and I mean, not the mother tongue, not even English. So he was traveling in areas where English and German were not spoken. Yeah. So therefore, Sampath was asking whether Humboldt had what's the way that he got this social studies or social knowledge imparted in him. So that's actually a good question, because I told you I didn't really went into too much of details about his South American endeavor. But when he was preparing for India, he was actually learning at least Arabic and Persian. And before going to South America, he was actually doing a lot of groundwork. And he was a person who interacted with, I mean, the simplest local who was in the areas. And I'm sure, I know that there are Humboldt fellows in the forum. And you may know also that he has been in connection with the local people, and there have been a lot of lots of things that he carried into the field. And I mean, without the support of the locals, he couldn't really have made this interesting and amazing journeys. So he was actually living with the locals, eating with the locals. There were times that he was eating the insects and yams for months. And he actually was a person who was living a very worthy, very influential lifestyle. But He was living in that local context with local languages, learning local languages, and that's how we understood it. Yeah.
Andes, it's like the environment changes when the Andes rise from sea
level to, yeah, up to almost 19,000 feet. Yeah.
meters and very rapid subsidence,
Yeah.
animals and plants follow. And the languages, the local languages also.
Dialects, there are a number
Not
of,
just dialects.
even the languages, yeah.
That's a different language. So, get such information in such a short time period, he should have some way of tapping into the local knowledge.
Exactly.
And in that process, he might learn the problems.
Exactly. Actually, he has also written and said in many places that this his vision of holistic vision of nature and the understanding about the climate change and aspects like that, they came from the discussions from the local knowledge, from the traditional knowledge that the natives had.
Probably a lesson for all.
Yeah, for all of us. Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Thank you so much for pointing this out. Yeah.
I would like to mention as a mark of respect to the great scientists. I would like to mention as a mark of respect to the great scientists that we should propagate more Humboldt plants. As it produce fragrant flowers and useful shade. It is more suitable for planting in temple and other religious places, and mostly in other community centers. So we understood the value of this tree after explained by the eminent botany as a mark of respect. Before it gets extinct, better to propagate more and more plants by that. So as horticulture, we also can make use of this plant in planting in basket site.
There was a question from the audience by Mr. Henry Rajapaksa, who is a retired staff member of the Botanic Gardens. With his long experience, he made a very valuable recommendation, that is to everybody, that this Humboldtia laurifolia is an ornamental plant, and therefore, as a horticulturist, we should start propagating it and planting as an ornamental tree, as well as in religious places, because it has scented flowers and so on. I think there is a presentation later about exactly on this by Dr. Cyril Vijayasundara, and I'm sure he will also mention about this later. But your point is well taken with your all experience, and it can be done, I suppose, planting this through cuttings and other ways, I suppose. So it's up to the horticulturists to popularize this most beautiful plant one of the most beautiful plants in Sri Lanka.
Can I add one word, sir? Yes. Actually, there's another importance in this horticultural propagation of Humboldtia laurifolia, as it connects with Humboldt's holistic picture of nature. The ecosystem thinking that Humboldt tries to propagate is there in the plant itself. It itself is an ecosystem where there are multitude of species that are always coming to the gardens or being propagated in the places where the plant can be artificially propagated. Yeah, it's interesting.
Now, this Humboldtia laurifolia tree. So I said that pollinators are bees and butterflies. There's no interaction with the ants in that aspect, because in some of my studies I have encountered the ants are
no published work on Sri Lankan Humboldtia species like Lorifolia. But it's a possibility, but since we have not studied in detail, but some of the invertebrates are known to be, not only ants, the other invertebrates are known to be feeding on pollen, feeding their brood on pollen. So that is another thing. So they may be collecting pollen to feed their brood, but when they pollinate the plant during that process, we don't know.
We have also got another question from the International Forum asking, to what extent do you think the writing and studies of von Humboldt influenced J.C. Wills and his studies on flora of Ceylon? So actually, it's coming in the future talks, I would say. And also, it's not only those few people that I mentioned. There are hundreds of scientists, including our generation, that has been influenced by Humboldt's writing as well as his vision. And I would like to get Professor Vijay Sundara and Professor Gunatilaka's comments on J.C. Wills' work on the flora of Ceylon. Yeah. Thank you very much for your comment, and Professor Vijay Sundara is the best person to answer.
J.C. Willis was the director of this garden from 1880 to 1912, and he came up with a very interesting theory of age and area. But then, of course, Willis was after Humboldt, not during. It's not a contemporary. But some of you may have heard of this interesting age and area theory, which was a very popular thing at the time, but then now it's not considered as a viable theory. Willis is a bit of a, I'm not saying that he's like Humboldt, but he also did a lot of things in various fields, flowering plants and even some other groups of flora. And even he even wrote guidebooks on Ceylon, and he was also a very versatile character. But I don't think there's a direct link with Humboldt's ideology and Willis's thinking of nature.